We could dress up like clowns.
We'd look like the Monster Squad dressed up like clowns.
That's it. On the street, we'd look like ourselves dressed up as clowns. But at the circus, we'd look like clowns dressed up as the Monster Squad.
You see, fellas, I told you I was smart.
Smart? I wish this museum had the extra space you have in your head.
What would you say to a knuckle sandwich?
No thanks.
My name's Walt. I work as night watchman here at Fred's Wax Museum to put myself through criminology college. It used to be very lonely until recently when I plugged in my crime computer. Suddenly, oscillating vibrations brought to life 3 legendary monsters. Dracula, the werewolf, and Frankenstein. Creatures hated and feared for centuries, now determined to make up for their past misbehaving by fighting crime wherever they find it. Together, we're the Monster Squad.
Welcome back, citizens, to an all-new episode of the Batcave Podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here, and we're getting back on track with all the great reviews we've been doing here, including Monster Squad. And of course, since we're doing Monster Squad, I'm happy to welcome back to the podcast. You know him from RevolutionSF. You know him as the co-moderator of the Dragoncon American Sci-Fi Classics track, Mr. Joe Crowe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, what is happening?
What is happening is that, vaccines are up, the numbers are down with COVID, we're feeling more relaxed and getting out there, and that means that also all the work I've been doing at school has finally started settling down and quieting down, so I can sit down and record these podcasts. I'm getting you on board. I got Kevin Eldridge coming in, and we're going to be talking Electro Woman and Dyna Girl again, and
nice.
Jim Beard's been back talking the serials with me, and Joe Stuber talking the Filmation 77 series, and you and I talking Monster Squad, and we're going to be talking about the episode The Ringleader today.
Ooh, let me tell you.
I know. There's a lot to recommend this, and then there's unfortunately something that really lets it down.
Yeah, true. That is not as big a part, the thing we're going to talk about, the thing that's kind of a big bummer.
Right.
It's not as, I almost want to say it's not a gigantic part of the show, and that itself is kind of a sensitive thing to say, but anywho, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it here. Okay, so let me set us up here with the actual details of who's in this episode and stuff. The Ringmaster aired October 2nd, 1976, written by Jay Thompson, directed by Herman Hoffman. We've got 3 main actors who are guest starring here. First off, Billy Curtis as our Ringmaster. Long career in television and movies, Billy Curtis. He was one of the Mole Men in Superman and the Mole Men, the George Reeves movie from 51 or 52, that sort of like gave everybody the idea that Superman could be a television series and such. And of course, that movie was cut up into 2 parts as part of the Superman series when the show premiered in its first season. He was also Super Pup in the pilot that they shot, wearing
I had the VHS copy of that bootleg on that I bought at a sci-fi convention many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. We've got H.B. Haggerty as Sam Strongman. Most of you will know him as Tiger Man on Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
His name seemed familiar to me, and one of my many freelance gigs, I think on another show I've talked to you about this, I'm a pro wrestling announcer.
Yes.
And it's the most fun. And I didn't make the connection at the time, but Sam the Strongman, or rather I didn't make the connection when I saw him as Tiger Man on Buck Rogers, but he was a pro wrestler before he became a character actor in the 70s. And I love his credit in this episode. It's H.B. Haggerty. That stands for hard boiled.
Oh, I wonder if this was like one of his first acting gigs, and he was still sort of like keeping that name, like Stone Cold and such.
Yeah. But his wrestling name was Hard Boiled Haggerty.
Wow.
And which is amazing. And he wrestled throughout the 50s and the 60s. A lot of people in the Midwest area will remember him for the American Wrestling Association, the AWA. He wrestled against Vern Gagne, and this may be going over a lot of people's heads, but for some people who are listening right now, they're going to go, oh. So there you go.
And he's going to appear in the upcoming Electro Woman and Dyna Girl episode, The Pharaoh, that Kevin Eldridge and I will be reviewing shortly. He appears as a security guard, so stay tuned for that. And then finally, we've got Simone Griffith as Bonnie Bon, and she will also appear in an upcoming OSI Files episode we're going to be reviewing, $6 Million Man, Dark Side of the Moon two-parter as Bess, although she won't look anything like Bonnie Bon in The $6 Million Man.
What I like about this episode is that all the actors in this thing, you've seen them before, and you'll see them again a lot in the 70s and 80s TV.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's something that most people appreciate when it comes to Monster Squad. I mean, I know we're trying to make the Batman 66 connections and such, but there were a lot of actors well known at the time who lent themselves to this, Saturday morning TV show.
Sure.
We've got for Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, Kevin and I will be sitting down shortly, and we're discussing the episode Alibaba that has Sid Haig and Malachi Throne.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I think Sid Haig was in, I think we've already talked about him. I think he's been in a Monster Squad already.
He's going to be in an upcoming one as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. If I'm not mistaken, I was looking at an upcoming one, and I think he's the one playing, well, we'll get into that at the end here. We'll talk about that one as well, talking about unfortunate things here. Let's start talking about the episode, and we'll get to what went wrong with this. And again, when we say what went wrong, we're looking at it with 2021 eyes. And we also have to understand as we're talking about this, and again, as I always say, just like I did with Jim Beard with the 1943 Batman serial, it doesn't excuse it, but it does give you some context of the time and attitudes back then. And in this case, we're talking about 1977. Our show starts, and this is interesting because previously in all the other episodes we've done so far, we've always had our villains establish themselves. In this case here, Walter arrives, activates the squad in the computer. It's the end of the day, and it's sort of like, okay, hey, guess what?
Well, guys, you have a good day?
Well, there were not many children.
No, and there won't be many kids here this week. They'll be at the circus.
I want to go to the circus.
It's reported to be a very exciting circus.
I want to go to the circus.
I hear they even have trained wolves there. I want to go to the circus! Subtlety never was your strong point, Frank.
Tomorrow would be the day to go. It's Orphans' Day at the circus.
Orphans' Day?
20,000 needy children will be the guests of circus management. It'll be the best performance of the year.
Now we have to go.
Frank with that was my favorite thing in those first couple of minutes. Frank, this is a tour de force episode for Frank.
For Frank, it is.
I want to go to the circus. It's top notch.
Top notch, yep. And they're going to go on Orphans' Day, in which something like 10,000 orphans in the city are going to be going to the circus.
I will have to correct you there, John. It is 20,000.
20,000. Okay.
They were very specific. They said 20,000 poor parentless children are going to be at that circus.
That's one thing. I mean, that in itself is a sad thought, but this is actually, at certain points of this episode, a little dark and twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, and we'll get to the villain, but the villain is so He's not a good person. But we'll get there.
So the thing is, though, how can the Monster Squad go to the circus without drawing attention to itself? So what they decide to do is dress up as clowns masquerading as the Monster Squad.
It's brilliant.
It is.
And Walt, or I almost called him Gopher. That may happen a lot. But he's so excited that he comes up with this plan. He's pumped.
Yes.
He came up with the idea of them dressing as clowns.
Now, okay, we then cut to the Ringmaster and his two hench people there. And as we mentioned, you got Sam the Strong Man and you got the Ringmaster, and then you've got Bonnie Bon. And there, as we say, is the problem. If you know the actress, she is a slight, thin woman. And here they've got her all done up in a baby doll outfit, and she is quite large. And she is eating away as she sort of sits on the floor, her face covered in whatever it is she's eating at that moment there, and she has no dialogue. She'll only have one line throughout the entire episode, but I was going to say they don't do it too much, but then I thought about it. No, there's a couple of times I think even Sam himself flat out refers to her as fatty.
It, like you said, looking back on it from 2021, it could have been worse.
True.
And that's just me playing devil's advocate. They could have gotten an overweight actress to play her, and then it would have been a lot worse. Now, I'm not saying they would never do that. They totally did that. I don't mean they. I mean about Monster Squad. I mean all the shows in the 70s made fun of fat women all the time. Yeah. Overweight women. I mean, it was constant.
Oh, sure.
I don't know why, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of a Little House on the Prairie episode where, in fact, I believe it was a circus woman in that episode, and they made fun of how big she was. And that's ridiculous. But in this case, she just sits and eats the entire episode.
There was the running joke. You bring that to my memory there. The running joke throughout the series, what's happening with Shirley and Rerun, because both of them were larger people.
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah. And Shirley and Rerun are some of the most talented comedic performers in television at that time. Yeah. And for goodness sake, people. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in some ways you could argue, well, they're just doing it back and forth with each other. So that's okay.
In that case, sure.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
But she's there, and like I say, she will play a part and as we're going to see here. But again, it's her physicality that's going to help the Ringmaster.
Yeah, that comes into play in the fight scene at the end, which Monster Squad fight scenes are pretty much my favorite thing.
Yes.
About the show, because it appears that they just said action and said, y'all just do whatever.
Right.
And then they just go bonkers for about 5 minutes. And it is, this one is especially crazy, which we'll get to, but oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yep. So Ringmaster's plan is basically to hold the kids hostage for ransom from the city. He's going to use the money to buy all the toy shops in the U.S. and then shut them down so the kids have no place to go for toys.
You what an a-hole. That's terrible.
It is, but it's at the same time, it's sort of like one of these, because he points out that each of them in their own way have been mocked because of who they were over time, whether it's Bonnie with her size, the strong man being freakishly strong, or the Ringmaster who is a little person. And so they've all been mocked. So he wants revenge on those kids, even though it wasn't those kids who did it to him, I guess. Or I don't know, maybe they did mock him even, these kids, who knows. But he wants revenge for what's going on. But then that's the thing. He wants revenge, but then he's got these other ideas as well that he's going to introduce as part of his plan, which goes beyond just the simple matter of upsetting a bunch of kids so they can't buy toys.
Let me say that outside of Frank yelling, "I want to go to the circus," when the ringmaster, the impish impresario, as he calls himself, when he reveals his plan on the phone, I got such a belly laugh I laughed about that for most of the episode. It's funny now still when he reveals that he's going to release stupid gas.
Yes. But see, that's the thing. He's got that's another level there with the stupid gas.
Not only is he going to take away their toy stores, he's going to make them stupid.
Yep. And of course, he counts on the fact that the city will pay for this because they don't want their kids to be stupid.
It's funny now, but I don't think that was a concern.
Yeah.
Education system, thank you.
Well, as we see, they never seem to pay because we never really get back to that thread either. Instead, we just go straight to the gas. So I'm guessing the city in the end didn't pay or couldn't get the money fast enough. I don't think there was a line to that effect. I think, or maybe he was just going to go through with it anyway, regardless of if he got the money or not.
Clearly, as soon as, and this is storytelling 101, when you, there's a term for it that I can't think of. When you introduce a gun in one act, in Act 1,
right,
somebody's got to use it in Act 2 or Act 3.
Right.
And as soon as they introduced the stupid gas, I was like, oh boy, when's it coming? And they drag it out. Again, Will, it doesn't happen until the end of the episode. But it does happen. But, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Chekov's gun, that's called.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yep.
I knew there'd be a Star Trek reference there somewhere.
Well, it's funny you say that, too, because there's also the bit where he gives Sam a bunch of alarms and says, go put them around Madison Round Garden, which I got a kick out of because this episode and the next one make references to Madison Round Garden. And I'm like, why is he putting alarms up there? But it pays off also as the story progresses.
You guys, the Ringmaster has placed alarms on all the windows and doors. If that alarm goes off, it could be curtains for those kids.
I could break through the wall.
Frank, no. Too risky.
That means we're left out in the cold.
Cold? Bruce, that's it. Drac, you could turn into a bat and soar through the air conditioning.
The last time I went through air conditioning, the machinery broke 3 of my ribs.
But it's our only hope.
Besides, air conditioning makes ice form on my wings. I could crash.
Think how excited those orphans would be if they were rescued by a real vampire. Reporters, pictures, publicity.
On second thought, in spite of grave personal danger to myself, duty compels me to fly. Stand back, please, and give me some room.
This is not a bad plan.
No.
Villain-wise.
Villain-wise, it's not a bad plan. I do like also how, as the Monster Squad is getting ready, Drac has a problem putting on his makeup because he can't see his reflection.
Now that is an attention to detail.
Yes.
I absolutely love that part.
Yep. Yes.
Because everybody else is ready, and he's like, what? And then they show what he can see through a mirror, and it's nothing. Mm-hmm. He's a vampire. Nice.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes, I agree. Totally agree. Now, the squad intercepts a message via the computer from police, from the Ringmaster to the police, about the whole kidnapping. He's got the kids already. We don't see any of that. He's already captured them. They're at the circus there at Madison Round Garden and all. And this is where I was saying, as Walter's reading this, it just sounds really dark and creepy.
Police cars in areas 3 through 10 proceed to Madison Round Garden.
That's where the circus is.
The Ringmaster has demanded that the city pay him $200 million for the release of 20,000 orphans. If the ransom is not paid within an hour, The Ringmaster will not hold himself responsible for the fate of the children. Do not try to enter the building. If any attempt is made to save the children, the city will lose a lot more than $200 million.
Yeah, it does. Reading it off the punch card.
Yes.
But I absolutely went, those poor children. The manpower. All he has is 2 accomplices, and one of them's eating all the time.
Right.
How he managed to wrangle 20,000 people into the circus, yes, and then hold them hostage by yelling at them awful things. That is how he did it.
But did you see, though, with those kids, because they focus on 6 or so that he's yelling at to behave and stuff. Do you notice they don't seem to take him very seriously? And several of them are smiling.
Yeah, those 6 kids are like, we're here for the circus, buddy. Yeah. We don't care what else. And yes, give us hell, Ringmaster, because he does. He and what I. When Walt goes up there and does his Ringmaster bit, it's a funny progression of flop sweat.
Hey kids, settle down, kid. Children, hey kid, hey, how many kids do we have here from El Segundo? Hey kids, now I'm gonna do one of my favorite numbers for you. 7. Don't do that, kid.
He gets worse and worse, and there's awful. As someone who has spoken in front of people many times, it's flop sweat is real. But I felt it when Walt was doing it. But the impish impresario went from 0 to furious, like immediately. Shut up, you kids! I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that.
Yep.
Like instantly, the first scene with the kids, he's yelling at them to shut up.
Mm-hmm. And when Walter loses his cool for a moment and says it, then he catches himself and says, "You should never say shut up."
I approve of that.
Yes.
Oddly, actually, that was a rule when my kiddo was little. We treated the term "shut up" as kind of a cuss word. Yeah. It just, I don't know why that. But yeah, I was happy for maybe when I saw this episode when I was 7, Walt struck a chord with me, and then when I became a parent, I passed along the advice from Walt. That's what I'm saying. That's the story I'm giving.
But here's the question, though: what was the whole point of Walt performing for the kids? I mean, like. Because it's not like he was a distraction in any way to the Ringmaster. It was the strangest thing because, like, the Monster Squad shows up. Okay, they're inside, and then suddenly we cut to Walter placating the kids, talking to them. Like they haven't caught Ringmaster yet. So what is he like? Why isn't he with the squad?
Why isn't he with the squad? Exactly. Yeah. He is off attempting to calm 20,000 orphans.
By himself, alone, with merely his words, and that's it. Yes.
And as we know, he is a museum coordinator. He is not a ringmaster by training. And he doesn't do a great job. Mm-hmm. But those 6 kids, man, they are having a ball. They're like, well, at least this guy's not telling us to shut up, and then he does.
Yeah. And when the squad does, because you mentioned fight, there's actually 2 fights. One is brief, the other one a little longer. The first fight.
Not so fast, you big top baddies.
We have come to stop your pernicious plot against those tiny little dots.
It's people like you who give kidnappers a bad name.
Somehow a rope gets tied around the 3, but a tug of war kind of ensues. Because you got Frankie on one side and you got Sam on the other side, 2 strong men, and it's going back and forth. So meanwhile, Bonnie kind of sneaks around And this is where I was saying she uses her weight to basically throw herself against the three, knocking them to the ground. And of course, it knocks also Ringmaster and Sam. She then picks up, basically, it looks like a plastic blunderbuss, and knocks them out with gas.
And that, at that point, I thought that was the stupid gas.
Yes.
I thought, yay, stupid gas. We're finally here.
Yep.
And nope, that's just knockout gas. But then it doesn't really knock them out.
No, not entirely, but enough to get them in a cage with a lion in the cage next to him.
I can only imagine the story meeting when they're putting together this episode. They go, all right, you know what? Here's what we got to do. We got to spend all of our money getting a deadly predator in the same cage as our actors.
Take those pathetic intruders into the animal tent.
Okay, boss.
Well, see, I had to wonder about this with that lion because, and I know this is going to sound weird because how the heck could I really know this? But there's just something about that lion that looked familiar. And I had to wonder, was that Tippi Hedren's lion that they used in the Bionic Woman episode she guest starred in, Claws?
Probably. How many lions were there? I'm sure there were a lot. I hope they were all well taken care of.
Right.
But there were, Hollywood extras needed animals. Mm-hmm. This was 6 years before Manimal needed all the animals. Thank you. I got a Manimal reference.
You did.
But yeah, I couldn't. That's a good question. I wonder how many lines were in the rotation on TV and movies in that time. And this line didn't have to do much, so good for him. Easy day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I in the episode, the Bionic Woman episode, there's I guess she's probably like an 8th grade girl. She's able to walk alongside the lion and she hugs him and stuff. And Jamie at the end is stroking him and hugging him and stuff. And here's Bruce, our Wolfman, getting friendly with the lion and sort of hugging and at the very end there, the lion and stuff, where we get that line from Drac saying, "Oh, just get his number and call him later" or something like. And I thought to myself, wow. Was that just a cute little line, or was Monster Squad trying to be innovative in 1977 by suggesting something?
Very progressive.
Very progressive.
And we're talking feline canine.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yes, wolves. Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that I was right. Mm-hmm. That never happens. I never check before I say things. But yes, in this case, canine and feline. Okay.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. But getting back to the story here, we got our three then coming around. They're weakened by the gas. Drac can't change into a bat. Frank is too weak to pull the bars. And yes, the lion is loosed upon them. But again, it's so weird because the Ringmaster says, he hasn't been fed. And I'm thinking for a hungry lion, he doesn't seem to be. He just sort of like wanders around and he's like, hey, whatever. So, we then learn that now this stupid bomb was planted on the lion.
And it took a lot of screen time. I know they got to fill 23 minutes.
Yes.
Or however long they have got to film. But as I'm watching this, I'm going, he has taken a long time to find, because I thought, okay, I guess it's on the line somewhere. But it took what seemed like an eternity for the Wolfman to go, okay, it's in the lion's mane.
Yeah.
But when he finally did, yay, there's the stupid gas.
Yes, I totally agree with you there, because I'm thinking to myself, he's got very sensitive hearing, very sensitive smell, and he had to lean in close to the lion, which again, that's where it gives me this whole thing that that's got to be Tippi Hedren's lion, because that lion because she had trained that lion to be very docile and such. She's very much an animal activist in real life, and had saved that lion back in the early 70s and such. So I I couldn't help but notice that. But you're right. It took a long time there, and of course that's when Walter arrives and he dismantles the bomb. But and again, this is like one of those silly things that just, I guess, as I'm watching it, it's like, well, I got to critique. It's like, why did you go into the cage? Why didn't you just have them handed off to you outside, and they could have stepped out? And because I thought it funny too, like the lion never gets up and walks out of the cage.
Nope. As hungry as the lion is,
yes,
with 3 things and then 4 to eat, and he never goes for it.
Yes. Oh man. So they're caught inside.
My greatest triumph. 4 marvelous new additions to my sideshow. 3 of them rather ordinary. But the one they call Walt is a real freak.
That makes me so mad I could rip the bars out of this cage.
This sort of triggers Frank, who gets really angry, and now he's got his strength back. He bends the bars, they get out, and this is when that big, as you said, anything goes, just let him go. And at first it seems like, okay, you got Frank and Strongman, and they're fighting over a dumbbell, a large, weight, and we can see that Frank is the stronger one because he's using one hand to hold the weight back while the Strongman's using 2 hands, and you got the Ringmaster swinging on a trapeze trying to kick people. And you're thinking, okay, all right. But then they break out the pillows.
I'm watching as the 2, titanic forces start to collide.
Yes.
And it appears that Walt is I think Wolfman trips him by accident. And then Walt is off screen for a few minutes, and because he just flat back is on his butt. They don't focus on him with the camera, but he falls. And I thought, was that an accident that they left in? But no. After a few minutes, here comes Walt with pillows, like Stone Cold Steve Austin to the rescue. He's like, now we're fighting. And it goes from a minor melee to a Pier 6 rampage, like a lumberjack brawl. There's feathers everywhere. At one point, Frankenstein is throwing the feathers up in the air and watching them fall.
Don't try to get out. The lion remembers what you did to his man.
How's everybody, okay? Good work, you guys. Let's go home.
Goodbye, kitty cat.
Bruce, take a number and call it at home.
They did it all in one take because the Ringmaster he keeps trying to do the trapeze kick, and he hits it like after the 3rd one, I think.
Yep.
But it's it's great. I absolutely love it. But it is just a chaotic scene that they captured on film, and I'm so happy that they did.
I agree. I totally agree. And I agree with you. I think that had to be one take because I'm thinking to myself, all right, let's clean everything up and try again with the pillow fight. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is 1977. We got to move.
Yes.
We got Rockford Files to shoot in 20 minutes.
Now, I also thought this was interesting. So they managed to round up the 3 and put them in the cage with the lion, our still hungry lion, who just still lays there.
Nope. Still not interested.
Still not interested, nope.
And you would think these are 3 live possibilities for lunch. Before, okay, Walt is a live person, so maybe you want to eat him. The Wolfman, well, now they're buddies. They're simpatico. But, and I would say maybe he doesn't want to eat Frankenstein and Frank and Drac because they are dead.
Yes.
They are dead bodies. This, of course, is all supposing that we've forgotten about the wax figure thing.
Yes.
which we kind of, and I know you and I talked about this at length in one of our previous episodes, but I think they've let that go.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah. But here you've got, like you said, 3 live ones, and dare I say it, one quite plenty of meat. So
and she's full of food. She's
but no, he just lays there and he's like chilling as they head on off and let the police round everybody up and all. And of course, we get the cute ending. Of course, we've got to always have our little comedic ending there where Frank now manages to activate the bomb and gets a whiff of the stupid gas, but it has the opposite effect and it makes him smart.
The presidents of the United States are Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe. Hey, fellas, this gas may turn geniuses into dum-dums, but it's made me smart.
I wanted an entire episode of that.
Yes.
Why did we only get 3 seconds? Like you said, the stupid gas, I was waiting, like I said, like we both said. We were waiting on the stupid gas to go off and waiting, and then it finally hits in the coda, the big epilogue at the end, and I thought, why are we not doing this as a whole episode? Frank as a genius would be hilarious.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. I mean, yeah, maybe over time, kind of like, what is it, Flowers for Algernon, it starts to fade away. But yeah, it's a shame that, if this were today, they would have carried it on. They might have carried it on for a couple of episodes,
Yeah.
But maybe even like he gets so smart, he thinks Drac and Bruce are stupid and he leaves the Monster Squad. I mean, it just writes itself. But
it writes itself.
Yeah, but in the end, it was just a throwaway gag because next week Frank is back to normal.
Boo.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. We've been talking about this episode here, and like we like to do, we rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 here. This time around, we're going to rate it on rings because, he's the ringmaster of the circus. How many rings would you give the ringmaster?
On a villainy scale, I hated him more than anyone on the show so far. This was the most villainous villain, and there's no redemption arc for him. And he's just like, I'm a jerk, and he remains almost said a naughty word. He remains a not nice person throughout. No, 5 rings.
5 rings. Okay. All right, 5 rings. I'm going to go just a slight bit lower on 2 counts. I'm going to go 4. First of all, yeah, I know it's not fair, but it's slight. And if it was only just this, I would have called it a 5, Bonnie. But more so, I just think the wasted time with Walter, while the performance was great, it's funny. In a story that everything else came together. The alarms come together, the stupid gas comes together, everything. What was they thinking just letting Walter, why isn't Walter there soon? All it needed was a line or two, something to the effect of, oh, the kids are over there, I'm going to keep them occupied while you deal with, but nothing. It's just Walter suddenly shows up and it's the Walter show by himself. And I would assume that he's probably doing that alone. And you got to give him credit for that one. I don't think the kids are there. Those kids were probably, hey kids, let's get 6 kids and we'll just shoot them, because you never see the kids and Walter or the kids and the Ringmaster together.
The very hastily painted crowd scene.
Yes.
Which, those aren't children. I look at that and went, who is fooled by this? Who thinks there's 20,000 kids there?
Yes. So I gotta go 4. Go 4. But definitely right now a strong contender for one of the best episodes of the series so far.
Yeah.
I have to say that, and definitely can see some Batman influence on this one.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up things here, Joe, I mentioned at the start, you're the co-moderator of Dragoncon, and Dragoncon, you had it last year. It was all virtual. This year, you're coming back and you're doing it live. What's going on? When does this all take place? And is it still possible for folks to come sign up for a membership for Dragoncon?
It is, yes. Dragoncon.org is where all the business happens. So go there and sign up. You can. We are doing a show in person. We are taking steps for safety. Every track room, every room that we're doing programming in once a day, and I believe there might be some rooms where we're doing it multiple times. Once a day, they're clearing them out and get like the full hot zone cleaning of the whole room. So that happens, like in our track room, it's going to be 5:30 every day. So we know, that's when the cleaning's happening, and it's happening at varying times throughout the day. So that's a thing that they're doing. One of the protocols they're attending to, and I believe there is a membership cap or an attendance cap that I'm not positive what it is. I don't know if they've announced it. But anyway, in addition to all that, you can attend in person, and there's also a virtual attendance ticket or a streaming membership where you can watch a lot, if not all, of the celebrity panels and live programming from the fan tracks, including American Sci-Fi Classics track. We pre-recorded 2 panels, and so they're going to be on the schedule so you can watch them from your home. And but like I said, a lot of the stuff that's going to be happening is live, and the dealer's room at America's Mart in Atlanta is going to be virtual again this year. So you can go there in person and buy stuff, and also support the merchants online for and after, or maybe just after and during the Dragoncon. This year, a lot of options. Last year, one option.
Right.
This year, you can attend, and I will be there, and the cast of Smallville is going to be on my track, except the one who just went to jail.
Yeah.
Sorry. Except for, assuming
she could be there virtually.
She could be. She could be there. Sure, why not? And the first question would be, so, what's been going on with you?
Oh, God.
Yeah, okay, so anyway. So it's going to be fun stuff. Dragoncon is going to be very responsible. Knowing the backstage people and all the people that are running Dragoncon, we're very conscientious, attempting to be conscientious of all of the fans that we love having in person and virtually at Dragoncon. And we can't wait. And I'm sure you're the same way. After being cooped up for so long, it's something fun to look forward to. And we're going to keep it as safe as possible.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And again, folks, that's dragoncon.org for ticket information. All right, then. Well, Joe, thank you very much for doing this here. And
so much fun, always.
Thank you. Thank you. And let's get together again real soon. We're going to be talking about Marty Allen as the Music Man.
Oh, can't wait.
No, can't wait. That'll be on our next review here of the Monster Squad. And in fact, a little curtain pulling there back. Joe and I will be recording this shortly. So yes, when I say that's the next episode, it will be coming along fairly shortly after this one here. Stay tuned, but also stay tuned. As I said, Kevin Eldridge with Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, Jim Beard and I with Batman 1949 serial, Dan Greenfield and I with the 66 comics, Joe Stuber and I with the Batman Filmation 77, and Robert Long and I looking at all those god-awful Batman movies that were made in tribute or license ripoff or what have you from around the world. We'll be back with those as well. And you can find all that over at thebatcavepodcast.com or any of your great podcast catching devices like your iPod, not your iPod. iPods are done, but Apple Podcasts and Stitcher Radio and such. So, folks, until next time, thank you so much for listening. Once again, Joe, everybody, take care.